When my husband walked through our front door with his pregnant secretary on Christmas Eve, announcing she would be joining our family dinner, he had no idea I had already removed his name from our estate documents 3 months earlier. The shock on his face when I calmly set an extra place at the table and welcomed her with a smile was nothing compared to what awaited him after dessert. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The story of how I discovered my husband's betrayal and methodically prepared for this exact moment began not with dramatic revelations or heated arguments, but with the quiet accumulation of small inconsistencies that gradually painted a picture of calculated deception. Marcus had always been meticulous about maintaining appearances, both in his successful architectural firm and in our 12-year marriage. This attention to detail, which had initially attracted me to him, ultimately became the tool that revealed his duplicity. Our marriage had been built on what I believed were shared values of honesty, commitment, and mutual respect. Marcus came from a prominent family in our community with connections that had helped establish his architectural practice and secure the social standing we both enjoyed. I had contributed equally to our success, managing the business operations of his firm while maintaining our household and supporting his professional ambition. We lived in an elegant colonial home in the prestigious Willowbrook neighborhood, entertained regularly, and presented the image of a successful, stable couple to our community. The first sign that something had shifted in our relationship appeared approximately 8 months before that fateful Christmas dinner. Marcus began working later hours, claiming that new commercial projects required additional attention to detail and client consultation. These extended absences initially seemed reasonable, given the competitive nature of his industry and his ambition to expand the firm's portfolio. However, the pattern of his absences began to follow a suspicious regularity that suggested deliberate planning rather than spontaneous professional demands. His communication style also underwent subtle but significant changes during this period. Previously, Marcus had shared details about his projects, seeking my input on business decisions and expressing appreciation for my operational expertise. Gradually, these conversations became more superficial, with vague references to challenging clients and complex specifications that required his personal attention. When I attempted to engage him in more detailed discussions about specific projects, he would deflect with statements about not wanting to burden me with technical details or professional stress. The transformation in his physical presence at home became increasingly apparent as well. Marcus had always been attentive to his appearance, but his grooming routine became more elaborate, incorporating expensive colognes and clothing choices that seemed designed to impress someone other than his wife of 12 years. He purchased new suits without consulting me, upgraded his watch and accessories, and began maintaining his appearance with a level of vanity that exceeded even his previous standards. The most telling change occurred in his interaction with technology and personal privacy. Marcus had never been secretive about his phone or computer usage, often leaving devices unlocked and accessible throughout our home. Beginning in early spring, he became protective of his devices, taking his phone with him to every room and ensuring that laptops and tablets were password protected when not in active use. This shift toward technological privacy was particularly significant because it represented a fundamental change in the transparency that had characterized our relationship. Rather than confronting Marcus directly about these changes, I chose to observe and document the evolving patterns in his behavior. This decision was driven by my understanding of his personality and communication style. Marcus was exceptionally skilled at verbal manipulation and had demonstrated throughout our marriage an ability to reframe situations to his advantage when challenged directly. A confrontational approach would likely result in elaborate explanations that would be difficult to verify while potentially alerting him to my suspicion. My background in business operations had taught me the value of systematic data collection and analysis when investigating discrepancies or unusual patterns. I applied these same principles to understanding the changes in my husband's behavior, maintaining detailed records of his stated schedules, actual arrival times, clothing choices, and communication patterns. This methodical approach provided me with objective information that could not be dismissed or explained away through Marcus's considerable powers of persuasion. The documentation process revealed several concerning patterns that extended beyond simple changes in routine. Marcus's stated work schedule often conflicted with information I gathered through casual conversations with other business owners in our professional network. Projects he claimed were demanding his immediate attention were either completed or proceeding normally according to colleagues who worked in related fields. The discrepancies between his explanations and verifiable information suggested deliberate deception rather than simple miscommunication or changing professional demands. Financial records provided additional evidence of activities that Marcus had not disclosed. Credit card statements revealed purchases at restaurants during times when he claimed to be working late at the office, charges for flowers and gifts that never appeared in our home, and expenses for hotel accommodations during supposed business meetings in our own city. These expenditures followed a pattern that suggested regular personal meetings rather than legitimate business activity. The most significant breakthrough in my investigation occurred when I discovered that Marcus had been using our business credit card for personal expenses that he was concealing from our accounting record. As the operational manager of his firm, I had legitimate access to all business financial information. A routine review of quarterly expenses revealed charges for jewelry, dinner reservations at expensive restaurants, and weekend hotel stays that corresponded with times when Marcus claimed to be attending professional conferences or meeting with potential clients. The specific identity of Marcus's companion became clear through a combination of financial investigation and careful observation of his professional environment. Vanessa Morrison had joined Marcus's architectural firm 6 months before I began noticing changes in his behavior. She was 28 years old, recently graduated from a prestigious design program and hired as his personal assistant and project coordinator. Her professional qualifications were impressive, and her hiring had seemed like a legitimate business decision designed to support the firm's expansion into larger commercial projects. Vanessa's role in the office provided her with extensive access to Marcus's schedule, travel plans, and business activities. This professional proximity created numerous opportunities for personal interaction while maintaining the appearance of legitimate business collaboration. The charges on our business credit card often corresponded with projects that Vanessa was assigned to coordinate, creating a convenient explanation for any unusual expenses or schedule modification. My investigation revealed that Vanessa had recently moved to our city from another state, establishing her independence from family connections and previous social network. This relocation had left her somewhat isolated and dependent on professional relationships for social interaction and community integration. Marcus's attention and mentorship would naturally be appealing to someone seeking to establish herself in a new environment while advancing her career in a competitive field. The pregnancy that would later become central to our Christmas dinner confrontation was confirmed through medical appointments that appeared on Marcus's calendar during times when he claimed to be attending business meetings. These appointments were scheduled at a specialist office across town from our usual medical providers, suggesting deliberate efforts to maintain secrecy about the nature of these visits. The timing of Vanessa's pregnancy corresponded with a period when Marcus had been particularly attentive to his physical fitness and appearance, suggesting that their relationship had evolved beyond professional collaboration. The development of their personal relationship coincided with increasing emotional distance in our marriage, as Marcus became less communicative about his feelings, future plans, and daily experience. Upon confirming the reality of Marcus's infidelity and Vanessa's pregnancy, I faced a critical decision about how to respond to this betrayal. My initial emotional reaction included anger, disappointment, and a sense of profound violation of trust. However, I recognized that acting on these emotions immediately would likely result in confrontations that would be disadvantageous to my long-term interests and personal well-being. Instead of pursuing immediate confrontation or dramatic revelation, I chose to develop a comprehensive strategic response that would protect my financial security, preserve my dignity, and position me favorably for whatever legal proceedings might follow. This approach required significant emotional discipline and careful planning, but it offered the best opportunity to achieve outcomes that would serve my interests rather than simply providing emotional satisfaction. The first component of my strategic response involved securing independent legal counsel without alerting Marcus to my knowledge of his infidelity. I consulted with Patricia Hendricks, a family law attorney who specialized in complex divorce proceedings, involving substantial assets and business holdings. Patricia's initial advice emphasized the importance of documenting all relevant information while avoiding any actions that might compromise my legal position or alert Marcus to my preparation. Patricia explained that our state's laws regarding marital property and spousal support would be significantly influenced by the timing and documentation of any legal proceeding. The existence of Marcus's business and our joint ownership of substantial real estate assets required careful consideration of how these holdings would be valued and divided. Additionally, the evidence of his infidelity could influence decisions about spousal support and property division, particularly given the financial resources he had used to support his relationship with Vanessa. The second component of my strategy focused on securing and protecting our joint financial assets. This process required careful planning to ensure that I could document the full extent of our holdings, while preventing Marcus from concealing or transferring assets once he became aware of potential legal proceedings. I worked with our accountant and financial advisor to create comprehensive records of all investment accounts, business valuations, and property holdings. The estate planning modifications that would later prove so significant during our Christmas dinner confrontation were implemented during this phase of my preparation. Patricia explained that while these changes would not affect the division of marital assets in divorce proceedings, they would protect my interests in the event of Marcus's death and demonstrate my serious intent to dissolve our marriage permanently. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The months of preparation between discovering Marcus's betrayal and the Christmas dinner confrontation represented a period of significant personal transformation and emotional growth. The initial shock and hurt of discovering his infidelity gradually evolved into a more complex understanding of our relationship and my own role in enabling the deception that had characterized our marriage. I began to recognize patterns in our relationship that had made Marcus's betrayal possible, including my tendency to avoid confrontation and my willingness to accept his explanations without demanding verification or accountability. My focus on maintaining harmony and supporting his professional ambitions had created an environment where he felt entitled to pursue his personal desires without considering the impact on our marriage or my well-being. This recognition led to a broader examination of my own values, priorities, and goals for the future. The woman who had discovered her husband's infidelity was different from the woman who would eventually confront him at Christmas dinner. The preparation period had strengthened my resolve, clarified my priorities, and developed my confidence in my ability to navigate complex challenges independently. The emotional discipline required to maintain normal interactions with Marcus while secretly preparing for legal proceedings proved to be excellent training for managing difficult situations under pressure. I learned to compartmentalize my emotions, focusing on practical tasks and long-term objectives rather than immediate emotional reactions. This skill would prove invaluable during the confrontation that was to come. The support I received from Patricia and other professional advisors during this period helped me understand that my situation was not unique and that many women had successfully navigated similar challenges. Their expertise and encouragement provided me with confidence that my strategic approach was sound and that favorable outcomes were achievable through careful planning and patient execution. The decision to allow the confrontation to occur during Christmas dinner was not accidental but rather the culmination of careful timing and strategic planning. Marcus had requested permission to invite a colleague to our family gathering, claiming that Vanessa had no local family and would otherwise spend the holiday alone. This request provided me with the perfect opportunity to demonstrate my awareness of their relationship while maintaining complete control over the timing and setting of our confrontation. The symbolism of Christmas dinner as the setting for this revelation was not lost on me. The holiday represented family, tradition, and the values that Marcus had violated through his infidelity. By allowing him to bring Vanessa into our home during this most sacred of family occasions, I was creating a situation where his betrayal would be impossible to deny or minimize. The preparation for this dinner required careful attention to creating an atmosphere that would maximize the impact of the revelations to come while maintaining my composure and dignity throughout the process. I planned a menu that would allow me to remain calm and collected, prepared legal documents that could be easily accessed when needed, and arranged for witnesses who could verify the events that were about to unfold. The evening would prove to be the culmination of months of careful preparation and the beginning of a new chapter in my life, one defined by independence, self-respect, and the strength that comes from strategic planning, rather than emotional reaction. The shocked expressions on both Marcus and Vanessa's faces when I welcomed them warmly to our Christmas dinner was merely the opening act of a performance that had been months in the making. The foundation had been laid, the strategy had been developed, and the moment of truth was about to arrive. Everything that would follow was the result of careful preparation meeting perfect opportunity, demonstrating that the most powerful victories often come not from emotional outbursts, but from patient planning and strategic execution. The evening air carried the crisp bite of December snow when Marcus's key turned in our front door at precisely 6:15 Christmas Eve. I heard their voices before I saw them, his familiar baritone mixed with a lighter, more tentative feminine tone that I recognized immediately as belonging to Vanessa Morris. The sound of her laughter filtering through our foyer represented the culmination of 3 months of careful preparation and strategic planning. I positioned myself in the kitchen, arranging the final garnishes on our traditional Christmas Eve appetizer spread with deliberate precision. Every movement was calculated to project calm domesticity and gracious hospitality. The marble countertops gleamed under the warm pendant lighting, reflecting the golden glow from the carefully arranged holiday decorations throughout our home. The scene was one of perfect seasonal elegance, providing the ideal backdrop for the performance that was about to begin. Marcus appeared in the kitchen doorway first, his expression carrying a mixture of nervous anticipation and forced casualness that I had learned to recognize during my months of careful observation. He wore his newest charcoal wool suit, the one I had discovered through credit card statements but had never seen him wear at home. His cologne was more pronounced than usual, an expensive fragrance that had appeared on our financial records alongside charges for jewelry and romantic dinners that had never been shared with me. "Darling, I hope you do not mind, but I have brought a colleague who was facing the prospect of spending Christmas alone," Marcus announced with the practiced delivery of someone who had rehearsed this moment extensively. His voice carried the slight tension that always accompanied his more elaborate deceptions, a tell that I had learned to identify through years of marriage and recent months of strategic observation. Vanessa stepped into view behind him, and I experienced my first direct encounter with the woman who had been sharing my husband's affections and financial resources for the better part of a year. She was undeniably attractive, with auburn hair styled in soft waves and wearing an emerald green dress that complemented her complexion beautifully. The dress was clearly expensive, likely purchased with funds that I now understood had been diverted from our joint account. What struck me most immediately was her obvious pregnancy, evident despite the flowing cut of her dress and her careful posture. The timeline I had constructed through my investigations suggested she was approximately 6 months along, which corresponded perfectly with the period when Marcus's behavior and financial patterns had shifted most dramatically. The reality of seeing her condition confirmed the final piece of the puzzle I had been assembling throughout my months of preparation. "Of course, I am delighted to meet any colleague of yours," I responded with genuine warmth, moving forward to extend my hand in greeting. "You must be Vanessa. Marcus has mentioned your excellent work on the Harrison commercial project." The surprise that flickered across both their faces at my knowledge of her identity and professional contributions was immediately evident. Marcus had clearly not expected me to be familiar with the details of his business operations, despite the fact that I had maintained operational oversight of his firm throughout our marriage. This first small victory in our emerging confrontation provided me with confidence that my preparation had been thorough and my strategic approach was sound. Vanessa accepted my handshake with a mixture of gratitude and uncertainty that suggested she had been prepared for a very different reception. "Thank you so much for welcoming me into your home during the holidays," she said with evident sincerity. "Marcus explained that you are incredibly gracious, and I can see that his description was entirely accurate." The irony of her gratitude was not lost on me, given the circumstances that had brought her into our home. However, I recognized that Vanessa was likely unaware of the full extent of my knowledge regarding her relationship with Marcus. Her genuine appreciation for my hospitality suggested that she had been led to believe that her presence would create conflict or discomfort, making my warm reception all the more effective as a strategic element in the evening ahead. The first hour of the evening proceeded with the careful choreography of a perfectly executed dinner party, each moment planned to create maximum psychological impact while maintaining the facade of gracious hospitality. I had spent considerable time designing the evening's progression to allow Marcus and Vanessa to become comfortable and relaxed before the revelations that would transform their understanding of the situation entirely. The dining room had been decorated with particular attention to creating an atmosphere of seasonal elegance and family tradition. The mahogany table was set with our finest china, crystal stemware that caught the light from the antique chandelier, and silver serving pieces that had been wedding gifts 12 years earlier. Fresh pine garlands adorned the sideboard, interspersed with white roses and gold ribbon that created a backdrop of understated sophistication. I had planned the seating arrangement with strategic precision, placing Vanessa across from me where I could observe her reactions throughout the evening while positioning Marcus at the head of the table in his customary place of honor. This arrangement allowed me to maintain visual contact with both participants, while projecting the image of a confident hostess who was completely in control of her domain. The menu had been selected with equal care, featuring dishes that would allow me to move in and out of the kitchen with natural ease, providing opportunities for private moments to collect my thoughts and maintain my composure. The progression from appetizers through the main course was designed to create a leisurely pace that would encourage conversation and allow the psychological tension to build gradually throughout the evening. Marcus's behavior during this initial phase was particularly revealing, demonstrating the internal conflict between his desire to appear natural and his obvious anxiety about the unprecedented situation he had created. His attempts at casual conversation carried a forced quality that became more pronounced as the evening progressed. He complimented the table setting with unusual enthusiasm, praised the appetizers with excessive detail, and made repeated references to work projects that provided opportunities to showcase Vanessa's professional contribution. Vanessa, for her part, seemed genuinely grateful for the warm reception and appeared to relax considerably as the evening progressed. Her conversation revealed intelligence, professional competence, and a personality that I could understand would be attractive to someone seeking excitement and validation outside the comfortable familiarity of a long-term marriage. She asked thoughtful questions about our home, expressed appreciation for the meal preparation, and demonstrated the social skills that had likely contributed to her success in Marcus's professional environment. The most significant element of this phase was my own performance, which required maintaining perfect equilibrium between graciousness and underlying strength. Every response was calculated to demonstrate my complete confidence and control while revealing nothing about the knowledge I possessed or the preparations I had made. I complimented Vanessa's dress, asked interested questions about her background and career aspirations, and maintained the perfect demeanor of a successful woman who was entirely secure in her position and circumstance. As we transitioned from the main course to dessert, I began introducing subtle elements that would gradually reveal the depth of my knowledge while maintaining the overall atmosphere of gracious hospitality. These revelations were designed to create psychological pressure while avoiding direct confrontation that might allow Marcus to regain control of the situation through his considerable skills in verbal manipulation and situational management. The first hint came during a discussion of holiday traditions, when I mentioned our family's practice of updating important documents during the year-end period. I have always found December to be an excellent time for reviewing and revising estate planning documents, I observed casually while serving individual portions of chocolate tart. This year has been particularly productive in that regard, with several significant modifications that better reflect current circumstances and future priorities. Marcus's fork paused halfway to his mouth, and I observed the subtle tension that appeared around his eyes as he processed the implications of my comment. His knowledge of our financial arrangements was sufficient to understand that any modifications to our estate planning would have direct impact on his inheritance rights and financial security. However, the casual nature of my mention provided him with no clear opportunity to pursue the topic without appearing inappropriately concerned about financial matters during a social dinner. Vanessa appeared oblivious to the undercurrents of this exchange, responding with polite interest about the importance of maintaining current legal documents. Her innocence regarding the deeper implications served to highlight Marcus's obvious discomfort and provided me with additional confirmation that she remained unaware of the full scope of the situation she had entered. The second revelation came through a seemingly innocent discussion of upcoming travel plans and schedule changes. "I have been thinking that a change of scenery might be beneficial in the new year," I mentioned while refreshing wine glasses. "Perhaps an extended stay in the guest cottage at my sister's estate in Napa Valley. The solitude would provide an excellent opportunity for reflection and planning the next phase of my life." This comment served multiple purposes within my strategic framework. It demonstrated my financial independence and access to alternative living arrangements that would not require Marcus's support or approval. It suggested that I was actively planning significant life changes that would not necessarily include him. Most importantly, it indicated that I possessed the emotional strength and practical resources necessary to pursue independence if circumstances required such action. Marcus's response to this revelation was more pronounced, involving a visible straightening of his posture and a quick glance toward Vanessa that suggested he was beginning to recognize that the evening was not proceeding according to his expectations. His attempt to redirect the conversation toward neutral topics became more obvious, but my responses continued to include subtle references to independence, change, and forward-looking plans that did not assume his continued presence in my life. The psychological impact of these subtle revelations was evident in the increasing tension that began to characterize Marcus's demeanor. His confidence was being systematically undermined through implications rather than direct confrontation, approach that prevented him from mounting an effective defense, while steadily increasing his awareness that the balance of power in our relationship had shifted significantly. The transition from subtle hints to more concrete revelations began when I excused myself to retrieve additional serving pieces from the kitchen, returning with a leather portfolio that I placed casually on the sideboard near my seat. The portfolio was expensive and professional-looking, clearly containing important documents rather than casual holiday materials. Its presence at our Christmas dinner table introduced an element of formality that shifted the entire atmosphere of the evening. "I hope you will forgive me for mixing business with pleasure this evening," I said while resuming my seat, "but the holiday timing has required some attention to year-end financial matters that could not be postponed." I opened the portfolio with deliberate precision, revealing organized sections of documents that were clearly legal and financial in nature. The first document I extracted was a comprehensive financial statement that detailed our joint assets, business valuations, and investment holdings. This document represented months of work with our accountant and financial advisor to create a complete picture of our marital estate. The figures were substantial, reflecting 12 years of successful business operations and careful financial planning. "Vanessa, given your position in Marcus's firm, you may find this interesting from a business perspective," I said while sliding the document across the table to her. "These figures represent the current valuation of the architectural practice and related assets. I have always believed in maintaining transparency regarding financial matters, particularly when they affect multiple parties." Vanessa accepted the document with obvious surprise, clearly unprepared for this level of financial disclosure during what she had expected to be a social dinner. Her examination of the figures revealed someone with sufficient business acumen to understand the implications of the substantial wealth represented in the documentation. The growing awareness in her expression suggested that she was beginning to recognize the complexity of the situation she had entered. Marcus's reaction was immediate and more dramatic, involving a visible loss of color and an obvious struggle to maintain his composure. His familiarity with our financial situation made him acutely aware that my willingness to share this information publicly represented a fundamental shift in my approach to our marriage and his infidelity. The strategic nature of this revelation was clearly not lost on him. "Darling, perhaps this is not the appropriate time for business discussions," Marcus attempted, his voice carrying a strained quality that revealed his growing anxiety about the direction of the evening. "On the contrary," I replied with perfect calm, "I believe transparency is always appropriate, particularly during the holiday season when we reflect on our blessings and consider our plans for the future." I extracted a second document from the portfolio, this one bearing the letterhead of Patricia Hendricks's law firm. The legal document was a comprehensive revision of our estate planning arrangements, including updated wills, trust modifications, and beneficiary designations that reflected my current priorities and understanding of our relationship. The changes were substantial and had been implemented with careful attention to legal requirements and optimal financial protection. These modifications were completed last month. I continued, maintaining the same conversational tone I had used throughout the evening. The new arrangements provide much greater clarity regarding asset distribution and eliminate previous provisions that no longer reflect current circumstances or appropriate priorities. The impact of this revelation was profound and immediate. Marcus's understanding of legal and financial matters made him fully aware that significant estate planning changes during a marriage typically indicated serious relationship problems and potential divorce proceedings. The timing of these modifications, combined with my willingness to discuss them openly, clearly indicated that I possessed knowledge of his infidelity and had been planning my response for an extended period. The moment had arrived to address the most sensitive and significant element of the evening's revelation. Vanessa's pregnancy had been the unspoken presence throughout our dinner, acknowledged only through my careful attention to ensuring she had appropriate non-alcoholic beverages and my inquiries about her comfort throughout the meal. The time had come to bring this reality into explicit discussion. "Vanessa, I hope you do not mind my mentioning that you appear to be expecting," I said with the same warm tone I had maintained throughout the evening. "Pregnancy is such a beautiful and significant time in a woman's life. I imagine this must be particularly meaningful for you, especially given the support you have received from Marcus during this important period." The silence that followed this comment was profound and telling. Vanessa's face reflected a complex mixture of surprise, embarrassment, and growing realization that her pregnancy was not the secret she had believed it to be. Marcus appeared to have stopped breathing entirely, his face now carrying a pale quality that suggested he was beginning to understand the full scope of my knowledge and preparation. "I trust that Marcus has been attentive to your needs during this time," I continued, maintaining perfect composure while introducing information that made the true nature of their relationship impossible to deny or minimize. "The medical appointments, the special dietary considerations, the emotional support that expectant mothers require, these responsibilities can be quite demanding, particularly when they must be managed alongside existing professional and personal obligations." My reference to medical appointments was particularly significant, as it demonstrated knowledge of specific activities that Marcus had concealed from me through careful scheduling and deliberate deception. The implication that I was aware of his involvement in her prenatal care made it clear that I possessed detailed information about their relationship that extended far beyond casual professional interaction. Vanessa's response was stammered and uncertain, clearly unprepared for this level of direct acknowledgement of her condition and its implications. "Thank you for your kindness," she managed, "but I think perhaps there may be some misunderstanding about the nature of my relationship with Marcus." "Oh, I believe I understand the situation quite clearly," I replied with gentle firmness. "The financial records, the schedule modifications, the medical appointments, the significant changes in behavior patterns over the past 8 months. These elements create a very comprehensive picture of the circumstances that have brought us to this evening's gathering." Marcus finally found his voice, attempting to regain control of the rapidly deteriorating situation. "I think there may be some confusion here that we should address privately," he said, his voice carrying a desperate quality that revealed his awareness that his carefully constructed deception was collapsing around him. "I prefer transparency to private discussions," I responded with unwavering calm. "After all, the situation affects all of us, and I believe we should address it with complete honesty and openness. The pregnancy, the relationship, the financial implications, the future arrangements that will be necessary for everyone involved." The psychological impact of these revelations was transforming the entire dynamic of the evening. The comfortable social dinner had evolved into a structured presentation of evidence that demonstrated the complete collapse of Marcus's attempts at deception and secrecy. The careful preparation I had undertaken during the previous months was now revealing its full strategic value. The final phase of the evening's revelations required bringing together all elements of my preparation into a comprehensive demonstration of the new reality that Marcus and Vanessa would need to navigate. The careful documentation, the legal modifications, the financial arrangements, and the evidence of their relationship created a foundation for moving forward that neither of them had anticipated. I retrieved the final document from my portfolio, a comprehensive settlement proposal that had been prepared by Patricia Hendricks and represented the culmination of months of strategic planning. The document outlined proposed arrangements for property division, spousal support, business asset distribution, and the various practical matters that would need to be resolved through our divorce proceeding. This proposal represents what I believe to be a fair and reasonable approach to dissolving our marriage while ensuring that everyone's interests are protected appropriately, I said while placing the document in front of Mark. The terms are generous considering the circumstances, and they provide for a clean separation that will allow both of us to move forward with our lives independently. The settlement proposal was indeed generous, reflecting my desire to end our marriage with dignity rather than engaging in protracted legal battles that would benefit only our attorney. However, the terms also reflected my thorough understanding of our financial situation and my determination to secure appropriate compensation for 12 years of marriage and professional contribution to his business success. Marcus's examination of the document revealed someone who was beginning to understand that his position was far weaker than he had anticipated. The evidence of his infidelity, combined with the financial documentation and legal preparations I had completed, created a situation where his options for negotiation or delay were extremely limited. I believe you will find that these arrangements are more favorable than what might be achieved through contested proceedings, I continued, maintaining the same composed tone I had used throughout the evening. However, the proposal does require prompt decision-making, as the current terms reflect the amicable nature of our current discussion. The implication was clear: cooperation would result in generous treatment, while resistance or attempts at manipulation would lead to more aggressive legal action that might prove far more costly and embarrassing for both Marcus and Vanessa. The evening that had begun with Marcus's confident presentation of his pregnant secretary as a holiday dinner guest was concluding with the complete revelation of my knowledge, preparation, and strategic response to his betrayal. The transformation in power dynamics was complete and irreversible, demonstrating that careful planning and patient execution had achieved results that emotional confrontation never could have accomplished. The silence that followed my presentation of the settlement documents stretched across our elegant dining room like a physical presence, heavy with the weight of shattered illusions and collapsed deception. Marcus stared at the legal papers with the expression of someone who had just witnessed the complete destruction of carefully constructed plans. His face had progressed beyond mere pallor to an ashen quality that suggested genuine shock at the comprehensive nature of my preparation and the finality of the situation he now faced. Vanessa maintained her position across from me, her hands unconsciously protective over her pregnant abdomen as she processed the magnitude of the evening's revelations. The realization that she had been brought into what she believed was a simple holiday dinner, only to discover herself at the center of a meticulously planned confrontation, was evident in her increasingly uncomfortable posture and darting glances between Marcus and the documents that now dominated our table. The transformation of our Christmas Eve gathering from social occasion to legal presentation represented the culmination of months of strategic planning, but it also marked the beginning of a new phase that would test my resolve and determination in different ways. The careful orchestration of the evening's revelations had been accomplished successfully, but the practical implementation of the changes I had initiated would require sustained commitment and unwavering focus on my long-term objective. Marcus finally broke the silence with an attempt to regain some measure of control over the rapidly deteriorating situation. His voice carried the strained quality of someone who recognized that his previous strategies of charm and manipulation were no longer viable options. "I think we should discuss this privately, without involving others in what should remain a personal matter between us," he said, gesturing toward Vanessa in a manner that suggested he was finally beginning to understand the strategic disadvantage of having brought her to this confrontation. My response was immediate and delivered with the same composed authority I had maintained throughout the evening. The time for private discussions ended when you chose to bring your pregnant mistress to our family Christmas dinner, I stated with clarity that left no room for misinterpretation. Every decision you have made over the past 8 months has demonstrated your preference for public involvement in our personal affairs. I am simply responding to the reality you have created. The directness of my statement served multiple purposes within my strategic framework. It established clear responsibility for the current situation, eliminated any possibility that Marcus could reframe the circumstances to his advantage, and demonstrated my complete willingness to address the truth of our relationship without euphemism or diplomatic language. The psychological impact on both Marcus and Vanessa was immediate and profound. Vanessa appeared to be experiencing the full realization that she had been manipulated into a situation far more complex and compromising than anything she had anticipated. Her professional relationship with Marcus had clearly not prepared her for the personal and legal complications that were now threatening to engulf her career and reputation. The understanding that she had become an unwitting participant in what was essentially a public divorce proceeding was transforming her earlier gratitude into something approaching panic. I was not aware of the full circumstances, Vanessa said quietly, her voice carrying the uncertainty of someone who was beginning to recognize the precarious nature of her position. Marcus told me that your marriage was effectively over and that you were both simply maintaining appearances for professional and social reasons. This revelation provided important insight into the narrative that Marcus had constructed to justify his relationship with Vanessa and secure her cooperation in his deception. The suggestion that our marriage was already concluded except for formal procedures was a particularly sophisticated manipulation that had allowed him to present his infidelity as a reasonable transition between relationships rather than a betrayal of existing commitment. My response to Vanessa's statement was designed to demonstrate both my understanding of her position and my determination to hold Marcus accountable for the lies he had told to facilitate his betrayal. I appreciate your honesty about the information you were given, I replied with measured compassion. However, as you can see from the documents I have shared this evening, our marriage has been legally and financially intact throughout the period of your relationship with my husband. The dissolution process began only after I discovered the extent of his deception. The settlement proposal that I had presented during dinner represented months of collaborative work with Patricia Hendricks to create a comprehensive framework for dissolving our marriage while protecting interests and ensuring appropriate compensation for my contributions to Marcus's professional success. The document was designed to be both generous enough to encourage cooperation and firm enough to demonstrate the serious consequences of his betrayal. The financial arrangements outlined in the proposal reflected a detailed analysis of our marital assets and Marcus's business valuation, with particular attention to my role in the operational success of his architectural firm. During our 12 years of marriage, I had provided not only traditional spousal support, but also professional expertise in business management, client relations, and financial planning that had contributed significantly to the firm's growth and profitability. The property division proposed in the settlement was structured to provide me with both immediate financial security and long-term stability. The proposal included our primary residence, which had been purchased early in our marriage, and represented substantial equity appreciation over the intervening years. Additionally, I had requested ownership of our vacation property in the mountains, which provided both personal retreat space and potential rental income for the future. The business asset division proved to be the most complex element of the settlement proposal, requiring careful valuation of Marcus's architectural firm and determination of appropriate compensation for my operational contribution. Patricia had recommended claiming a significant percentage of the business value based on my direct involvement in its management and growth. The proposal outlined a structured buyout arrangement that would provide me with substantial compensation while allowing Marcus to maintain operational control of the firm. Spousal support provisions in the settlement were calculated based on the lifestyle we had maintained during our marriage, and my reasonable expectations for continued financial security. The proposed amount was substantial but not punitive, reflecting my desire to achieve fair compensation without creating unnecessary antagonism that might complicate the divorce proceedings or future interaction. The most strategically important element of the settlement proposal was the inclusion of specific provisions regarding Marcus's relationship with Vanessa and the implications of her pregnancy for our divorce proceeding. These clauses established clear boundaries for future financial obligations and prevented Marcus from using joint marital assets to support his new relationship or any children that might result from his infidelity. Marcus's examination of these provisions revealed someone who was beginning to understand the comprehensive nature of my legal preparation and the limited options available to him for negotiation or resistance. His expertise in contract review and legal documentation made him acutely aware that the settlement proposal had been prepared with professional competence and strategic insight that would be difficult to challenge successfully. "These terms are quite extensive," Marcus observed, his voice carrying a quality that suggested grudging respect for the thoroughness of my preparation. "You have clearly invested considerable time and resources in developing this framework." My response was designed to reinforce the seriousness of my intentions, while maintaining the composed authority that had characterized my approach throughout the evening. "I have always believed in thorough preparation when addressing important decisions," I replied. "The dissolution of a 12-year marriage requires careful attention to legal, financial, and practical considerations that affect both parties." The implication was clear that my strategic approach to ending our marriage reflected the same professional competence and attention to detail that had characterized my contributions to our relationship and his business success. The settlement proposal was not an emotional reaction to his betrayal but rather a carefully considered plan for achieving optimal outcomes through systematic preparation and strategic execution. The revelation of Marcus's relationship with Vanessa during our Christmas dinner confrontation had implications that extended far beyond our personal marriage and divorce proceeding. The professional consequences for both Marcus and Vanessa required careful consideration, as their workplace relationship had created potential legal and ethical complications that could affect the reputation and viability of his architectural firm. Vanessa's position as Marcus's employee during the development of their personal relationship created potential issues related to workplace harassment, power dynamics, and professional conduct that could expose the firm to legal liability. Her pregnancy complicated these considerations significantly, as it provided evidence of the intimate nature of their relationship and established potential claims for discrimination or inappropriate workplace behavior. The financial implications of these professional complications were substantial, particularly given the success and reputation that Marcus's firm had achieved within our community's business environment. The architectural profession required maintaining client confidence and community respect, both of which could be threatened by public knowledge of inappropriate workplace relationships and marital infidelity. My strategic approach to addressing these professional consequences was designed to protect my own interests, while providing Marcus with opportunities to minimize damage to his business and reputation. The settlement proposal included provisions that would allow him to address workplace issues privately while ensuring that I received appropriate compensation for any negative impact on our joint assets. The most significant professional consequence involved Vanessa's continued employment at the firm and the practical challenges of maintaining their working relationship while navigating the complexities of her pregnancy and their personal involvement. The small size of Marcus's firm made it difficult to establish appropriate professional boundaries, particularly given the intimate nature of their relationship and the upcoming birth of their child. Patricia had advised me that these professional complications strengthened my position in divorce negotiations, as they demonstrated the extent to which Marcus's personal choices had created business risks that could affect our joint financial interests. The potential for client loss, reputation damage, and legal liability provided additional leverage for achieving favorable settlement terms. The strategic value of maintaining detailed documentation of Marcus's workplace relationship with Vanessa became evident during this phase of our proceeding. The evidence I had collected regarding their use of business resources for personal activities, the timing of their relationship development, and the impact on firm operations, provided a comprehensive foundation for addressing professional misconduct issues. Marcus's recognition of these professional implications was evident in his increasingly serious demeanor as he reviewed the settlement proposal and considered the broader consequences of his choices. The realization that his personal betrayal had created business vulnerabilities that could threaten his professional legacy was clearly weighing heavily on his decision-making process. The months of preparation leading to our Christmas dinner confrontation had required me to undergo a profound personal transformation that extended far beyond simply gathering evidence and developing legal strategy. The emotional journey from betrayed wife to empowered woman taking control of her circumstances had challenged every assumption I held about marriage, trust, and personal identity. The initial discovery of Marcus's infidelity had triggered a crisis of self-doubt and questioning that forced me to examine my role in enabling the deception that had characterized our relationship. My tendency to avoid confrontation and accept his explanations without verification had created an environment where he felt entitled to pursue his desires without considering the impact on our marriage or my well-being. The process of systematic documentation and evidence gathering had served as an unexpected form of therapy, providing me with concrete activities that channeled my emotional energy into productive preparation, rather than destructive rumination. Each piece of evidence I collected and every strategic decision I made contributed to rebuilding my confidence and sense of personal agency. The development of my relationship with Patricia Hendricks had been particularly significant in this transformation process. Her professional expertise and personal encouragement had helped me understand that my situation was not unique and that many women had successfully navigated similar challenges through careful planning and determined execution. Her guidance had provided me with both practical strategies and emotional support during the most difficult phases of my preparation. The most profound aspect of my emotional transformation involved learning to value my own judgment and priorities above the expectations and approval of others. For 12 years, I had defined my success primarily through Marcus's achievements and our joint social standing. The betrayal had forced me to develop independent measures of worth and meaning that were not dependent on his validation or our relationship status. The strength I discovered during this transformation process was not the dramatic, confrontational power often portrayed in popular culture, but rather the quiet confidence that comes from thorough preparation and clear understanding of one's own values and objectives. This internal strength had enabled me to maintain composure during our dinner confrontation and would prove essential for navigating the challenges that lay ahead. The emotional discipline required to maintain normal interactions with Marcus while secretly preparing for divorce proceedings had taught me valuable lessons about compartmentalization and strategic thinking that would serve me well in future personal and professional situations. The ability to separate immediate emotional reactions from long-term strategic considerations had become a core competency that would influence all aspects of my future decision-making. One of the most empowering aspects of my preparation process had been the systematic development of financial independence and security that would allow me to pursue my goals without dependence on Marcus's cooperation or support. This financial foundation represented both practical protection and psychological empowerment that was essential for maintaining my strategic position throughout the divorce proceeding. The estate planning modifications I had implemented with Patricia's guidance served multiple purposes beyond simply removing Marcus from inheritance consideration. These changes had required me to develop a comprehensive understanding of our financial situation and to make independent decisions about asset management and future planning that demonstrated my capacity for financial leadership. The investment portfolio adjustments I had made during my preparation period reflected a shift toward assets that provided both growth potential and income generation, creating multiple sources of financial security that would support my independence, regardless of the settlement outcome. These changes had been implemented gradually to avoid detection while ensuring that my interests were protected. The establishment of separate banking relationships and credit facilities had been crucial for maintaining financial autonomy during the preparation period and for ensuring my ability to access resources throughout the divorce proceeding. These independent financial arrangements provided both practical security and psychological confidence that enhanced my negotiating position. The business valuation process had revealed the substantial contribution I had made to Marcus's professional success and the significant financial value of my operational expertise and relationship management skills. This recognition of my economic contribution provided both justification for the settlement terms I was seeking and validation of my professional competence and worth. The most significant element of my financial independence strategy involved the development of plans for generating income and building wealth through my own efforts, rather than relying solely on settlement proceeds or spousal support. These plans included consulting opportunities that would utilize my business management experience and potential investments that would provide ongoing income growth. The comprehensive nature of my financial preparation had created a foundation of security and competence that allowed me to approach the divorce proceedings from a position of strength rather than vulnerability. The knowledge that I possessed both the resources and the skills necessary to build a successful independent life had been crucial for maintaining my strategic focus throughout the confrontation process. The revelation of Marcus's infidelity and our impending divorce would inevitably affect our standing within the social and professional community that had been central to our identity as a couple. The management of these community relationships required careful consideration of how to maintain my reputation and social connections while allowing the truth of our situation to emerge naturally. Our community was relatively small and interconnected, with overlapping social, professional, and business relationships that created multiple channels for information sharing and opinion formation. The manner in which our divorce became public knowledge would significantly influence how community members perceived the situation and how they chose to maintain relationships with both of us moving forward. The strategic advantage of my approach was that it allowed the truth of Marcus's betrayal to speak for itself, rather than requiring me to engage in public criticism or dramatic confrontation. The evidence of his relationship with his pregnant employee would be sufficient to establish responsibility for our marriage's dissolution without requiring me to appear vindictive or emotionally unstable. The Christmas dinner setting for our confrontation had been chosen partly for its symbolic value within our community's social calendar. The holiday season represented family values and traditional commitments that made Marcus's betrayal particularly jarring and memorable for anyone who learned of the circumstances. The dramatic nature of bringing his pregnant mistress to our family celebration would ensure that the story was both memorable and clearly favorable to my position. The professional implications for Marcus's business relationships were substantial, as many of his clients and colleagues were also part of our social community. The architectural profession depended heavily on reputation and trust, both of which could be damaged by public knowledge of his workplace relationship and marital infidelity. My strategy for managing community relationships involved maintaining dignity and discretion while allowing others to draw their own conclusions about the situation based on observable facts. This approach would preserve my reputation for class and maturity while ensuring that Marcus bore responsibility for the social consequences of his choices. The support I received from close friends like my sister and trusted advisors had been crucial for maintaining perspective and emotional stability throughout the preparation process. These relationships would become even more important as I navigated the social changes that would accompany my transition to independence and my new identity as a divorced woman. The long-term objective was to emerge from the divorce proceedings with my reputation and social connections intact, while being free to build new relationships and pursue new opportunities without the constraints of a marriage that had become based on deception rather than mutual respect and shared values. The week following our Christmas dinner confrontation marked the beginning of formal divorce proceedings that would demonstrate the full strategic value of my months of careful preparation. Marcus's initial response to the settlement proposal revealed a man who was struggling to reconcile his expectations of controlling the divorce narrative with the reality of his severely compromised negotiating position. His attempts to engage separate legal counsel and develop alternative proposals were consistently undermined by the comprehensive evidence package that Patricia and I had assembled during our preparation period. The first formal meeting between our respective attorneys took place in Patricia's conference room on January 3rd, a setting I had specifically requested to reinforce the professional and strategic nature of my approach to dissolving our marriage. The mahogany table and leather chairs provided an atmosphere of serious business discussion rather than emotional confrontation, establishing the tone for negotiations that would be conducted according to legal and financial principles rather than personal grievances. Marcus arrived accompanied by Robert Chen, a divorce attorney with a reputation for aggressive tactics and creative legal arguments. Robert's initial strategy involved challenging the validity of the evidence I had collected and questioning the circumstances under which various documents had been obtained. His approach suggested that Marcus had hoped to create procedural obstacles that might delay the proceedings and provide opportunities for more favorable negotiations. Patricia's response to these challenges was both immediate and devastating in its comprehensive nature. The evidence package she presented included not only the financial and scheduling documentation I had gathered, but also professional verification of Marcus's workplace relationship with Vanessa, independent confirmation of business asset valuation, and legal precedents supporting my claims for both spousal support and business interest compensation. The most significant element of Patricia's presentation was the inclusion of workplace conduct documentation that established potential legal liability for Marcus's firm related to his relationship with Vanessa. The evidence demonstrated clear violations of professional boundaries and potential exposure to discrimination and harassment claims that could threaten both his business reputation and financial stability. This professional misconduct evidence transformed the divorce proceedings from a simple marital dissolution into a complex legal situation with multiple layers of potential liability. Robert's examination of the evidence package revealed someone who was beginning to understand that his client's position was far weaker than initially assessed. The comprehensive nature of the documentation and the strategic timing of its collection had created an evidentiary foundation that would be extremely difficult to challenge successfully. His subsequent private consultation with Marcus resulted in a significant modification of their negotiating strategy from aggressive challenge to damage control and settlement optimization. The psychological impact of this first formal meeting was profound for all parties involved. Marcus's recognition that his attempts at secrecy and manipulation had been completely transparent to systematic investigation was evident in his increasingly subdued demeanor and reluctant acceptance of the evidence presented. His confidence in his ability to control the divorce outcome through charm and legal maneuvering had been thoroughly demolished by the professional competence and strategic preparation that Patricia and I had demonstrated. The valuation and division of Marcus's architectural firm represented the most complex and financially significant aspect of our divorce settlement negotiation. The business had been established during the early years of our marriage and had grown substantially through a combination of Marcus's professional expertise and my operational management contribution. The determination of appropriate compensation for my role in the firm's success required detailed analysis of both financial records and operational responsibilities that had contributed to its growth and profitability. Patricia had retained the services of Harrison & Associates, a business valuation firm specializing in professional service enterprises, to conduct an independent assessment of the architectural firm's current market value and growth potential. Their analysis included comprehensive review of client contracts, revenue trends, asset holdings, and market position within the regional architectural industry. The resulting valuation figure was substantially higher than the estimates Marcus had initially provided, reflecting both the firm's actual worth and the professional competence of the valuation process. The most strategically important element of the business valuation was the documentation of my specific contributions to the firm's operational success. During our 12 years of marriage, I had managed client relationships, overseen financial planning and analysis, coordinated marketing and business development activities, and provided strategic guidance for expansion decisions. These contributions had been systematic and substantial, creating clear justification for significant compensation in the divorce settlement. The evidence of my business contributions included client testimonials acknowledging my role in project coordination and relationship management, financial records demonstrating improved profitability during periods of my direct involvement, and documentation of strategic initiatives I had developed and implemented. This comprehensive record established both the value of my contributions and the legitimacy of my claims for business asset compensation. Marcus's initial resistance to recognizing my business contributions was quickly undermined by the objective evidence of my involvement and the professional opinions supporting the financial value of my operational expertise. His attempts to minimize my role in the firm's success were contradicted by his own previous statements, acknowledging my contributions, and by independent verification from clients and business partners who had worked with both of us throughout our marriage. The final business asset settlement provided me with a buyout arrangement that reflected both the current value of my interest in the firm and projected compensation for future income that would have resulted from continued involvement. The structured payment terms ensured immediate liquidity for establishing my independent financial foundation while providing long-term income security through extended compensation arrangements. The most satisfying aspect of the business asset resolution was the recognition it provided for contributions that had often been overlooked or minimized during our marriage. The professional validation of my operational expertise and strategic value created both financial compensation and personal vindication that demonstrated the worth of my professional capabilities, independent of my role as Marcus's wife. The division of personal property and joint assets revealed the extent to which my strategic preparation had extended beyond legal and financial documentation to include comprehensive inventory and valuation of all marital holdings. During the months preceding our Christmas confrontation, I had systematically cataloged and appraised jewelry, artwork, furnishings, and collectibles that represented both financial value and personal significance within our shared history. The most valuable personal assets included an extensive collection of contemporary art that we had acquired during our travels and through relationships with local artists and galleries. These pieces had appreciated significantly in value since their original purchase and represented both financial investment and cultural enrichment that had been central to our lifestyle and social identity. The strategic division of these artworks required careful consideration of both monetary worth and personal attachment to ensure fair distribution while preserving the integrity of individual collections. Our jewelry holdings included both gifts exchanged during our marriage and individual pieces that had been inherited from family members or purchased for special occasions. The most significant items were a diamond necklace that Marcus had given me for our 10th anniversary, and a collection of vintage watches that had been his primary personal indulgence throughout our marriage. The emotional complexity of dividing these intimate gifts required balancing financial considerations with the symbolic meaning that various pieces held for both of us. The household furnishings and decorative items that filled our Willowbrook home represented 12 years of shared decisions and lifestyle development that had created an environment reflecting both our individual tastes and our identity as a couple. The strategic division of these items required consideration of practical needs for establishing separate households while ensuring that both parties retained pieces that held particular personal significance or functional importance. The most challenging aspect of personal property division involved items that held sentimental value but limited financial worth, such as photographs, books, and small decorative objects that carried emotional significance disproportionate to their monetary value. The resolution of these items required negotiation skills and emotional maturity that demonstrated both parties' commitment to concluding our marriage with dignity rather than petty vindictiveness. My strategic approach to personal property division was designed to secure items that would support my independent lifestyle while avoiding unnecessary conflict over possessions that could be replaced or that held greater meaning for Marcus than for me. The objective was to emerge from the divorce proceedings with sufficient resources and meaningful possessions to establish a comfortable and personally satisfying living environment without carrying excessive emotional baggage from our shared past. The final property settlement provided me with the furnishings and personal items necessary to establish an elegant and comfortable independent household, while ensuring that Marcus retained possessions that held particular professional or personal significance for him. The division process had been conducted with mutual respect and practical consideration that reflected our shared commitment to concluding our marriage relationship with maturity and dignity. The establishment of spousal support arrangements required careful balance between providing me with appropriate financial security and ensuring that the support terms reflected realistic expectations for Marcus's future earning capacity and business performance. Patricia's expertise in divorce law and her understanding of judicial precedents in our jurisdiction provided essential guidance for developing support proposals that would be both fair and legally sustainable. The calculation of appropriate spousal support involved analysis of our lifestyle during marriage, my projected needs for maintaining reasonable living standards, and Marcus's capacity to provide support while meeting his own living expenses and potential obligations to Vanessa and their expected child. The complexity of these calculations was increased by the variable nature of his architectural practice income and the potential impact of divorce-related business disruption on his future earnings. The most significant factor in spousal support determination was the recognition of my career sacrifice and earning capacity reduction that had resulted from my focus on supporting Marcus's business development and managing our household responsibility. During our marriage, I had foregone independent career advancement opportunities to provide operational support for his firm and to maintain the social and domestic environment that had contributed to his professional success. The evidence of my professional capabilities and market value was established through consultation with executive recruitment specialists who assessed my qualifications and experience for current employment opportunities in business management and operations consulting. Their analysis confirmed that my background and expertise would command substantial compensation in the current market, providing objective foundation for spousal support calculations that reflected my actual earning potential. The final spousal support arrangement included both monthly payments for immediate living expenses and lump sum compensation that recognized my contributions to Marcus's business success and provided capital for establishing independent income-generating investments. The terms were structured to provide security while encouraging my transition to financial independence through pursuit of professional opportunities that utilized my operational expertise and business management. The most empowering aspect of the spousal support negotiations was the recognition they provided for the economic value of my contributions to our marriage and Marcus's career development. The financial compensation acknowledged that my support had been instrumental in his success and that my future security was a legitimate claim rather than charitable assistance from a former spouse. The practical aspects of establishing independent living arrangements required careful planning to ensure that my transition from married to single lifestyle would reflect both my personal preferences and my enhanced financial circumstances. The selection of appropriate housing represented the first major decision in creating a physical environment that would support my new identity and provide the foundation for rebuilding my social and professional life. My initial consideration involved determining whether to remain in our Willowbrook neighborhood, where I had established community connections and social relationships, or to relocate to a different area that would provide greater privacy and opportunities for creating new associations. The advantages of remaining in familiar surroundings included maintaining established friendships and continuing involvement in community organizations that had been important aspects of my social identity. The alternative of relocating offered opportunities for greater independence from the social dynamics and potential awkwardness that might result from continued proximity to Marcus and the community awareness of our divorce circumstance. A new location would provide complete freedom to establish my identity independent of my previous role as Marcus's wife and to develop relationships based on my individual interests and goals rather than our shared history. The final decision involved purchasing a contemporary townhouse in the historic Riverside district, approximately 20 minutes from our former Willowbrook home. The location provided sufficient distance to ensure privacy and independence, while maintaining reasonable proximity to established professional and social connections that I value. The property itself was elegant and sophisticated, with modern amenities and architectural features that reflected my personal taste, rather than the compromises that had characterized our shared housing decision. The interior design and furnishing of my new home represented an opportunity to create an environment that reflected my individual preferences and supported my goals for independent living. The selection of colors, furniture, and decorative elements was based entirely on my personal aesthetic choices, rather than the need to accommodate Marcus's preferences or our shared entertaining requirements. The most satisfying aspect of establishing my independent living arrangements was the recognition that every decision was mine to make according to my own priorities and preferences. The freedom to create a living environment that reflected my authentic style and supported my personal goals provided tangible evidence of the empowerment that had resulted from successfully navigating the challenges of divorce and transition to independence. The conclusion of divorce proceedings provided me with both the financial security and personal freedom necessary to pursue professional opportunities that would utilize my operational expertise while providing intellectual challenge and career satisfaction. The recognition of my business contributions during the divorce settlement had validated my professional capabilities and provided confidence for pursuing independent career development rather than simply seeking traditional employment. The most immediate opportunity involved establishing a consulting practice focused on operational efficiency and business development for professional service firms. My experience managing Marcus's architectural practice had provided me with specialized knowledge of the unique challenges and opportunities within professional service industry, creating a foundation for offering valuable expertise to other business owners seeking operational improvement and growth strategies. The development of my consulting practice required systematic planning for service offerings, client development, and operational infrastructure that would support sustainable business growth. The skills I had developed during my divorce preparation, including strategic thinking, comprehensive planning, and systematic execution, provided essential capabilities for building a successful independent business venture. The initial client development strategy focused on leveraging existing professional relationships and community connections to establish credibility and demonstrate the value of my operational expertise. The references and testimonials from individuals who had observed my contributions to Marcus's firm's success provided powerful validation for potential clients considering my consulting service. The most rewarding aspect of my professional reinvention was the recognition that my business capabilities extended far beyond the operational support role I had played during my marriage. The opportunity to apply my expertise to helping other business owners achieve their goals provided both financial compensation and personal satisfaction that had been missing from my previous role as supportive spouse rather than independent professional. The long-term vision for my consulting practice included expansion into business management training and development of specialized expertise in areas such as client relationship management and strategic planning for professional service growth. These goals provided exciting challenges that would continue to develop my capabilities while building a business legacy that reflected my individual achievements rather than shared marital success. The transition from married to single social status required strategic navigation of community relationships and social dynamics to maintain valuable connections while establishing new identity and independence. The manner in which I managed this transition would significantly influence both my personal satisfaction and professional opportunities within our interconnected community environment. The initial phase of social transition involved selective engagement with existing relationships to determine which connections were based on genuine friendship and mutual respect rather than convenience or obligation associated with my marriage to Mark. This evaluation process revealed both the depth of certain relationships and the superficial nature of others that had been maintained primarily for social or professional advantage. The most meaningful relationships proved to be those with individuals who valued my personal qualities and contributions rather than my role as Marcus's wife or my function within their social or business network. These authentic connections provided emotional support during the divorce process and continued to enrich my life through shared interests and mutual appreciation rather than social convenience. The development of new social connections required stepping outside the familiar patterns and environments that had characterized my married social life. This expansion involved pursuing personal interests and activities that had been neglected during my marriage due to time constraints or lack of shared enthusiasm from Mark. The most significant new social development was my involvement with the Regional Arts Council, where my background in art collection and appreciation provided opportunities for meaningful volunteer leadership and professional network. This engagement allowed me to contribute expertise while developing relationships with individuals who shared cultural interests and community commitment. The long-term objective for social renaissance involved building a diverse network of relationships based on shared values and interests rather than social obligation or professional necessity. This approach provided both personal enrichment and professional opportunities while creating a social foundation that supported my authentic identity rather than requiring performance of roles that no longer reflected my actual circumstances or aspirations. The establishment of Morrison Strategic Consulting represented the culmination of careful planning and systematic preparation that had begun during the final months of my marriage to Mark. The decision to incorporate my maiden name into the business identity reflected both practical considerations regarding professional credibility and symbolic importance in establishing my independent identity within the business community. The consulting practice would serve as the vehicle for transforming my operational expertise into sustainable income while providing meaningful professional challenges that utilized my strategic thinking capability. The initial business structure required comprehensive planning for service offerings, operational infrastructure, and growth strategies that would position the firm for sustainable success within the competitive consulting marketplace. The experience I had gained managing Marcus's architectural practice provided essential understanding of professional service, business models, client relationship management, and operational efficiency optimization that would form the foundation of my consulting expertise. The development of my service portfolio focused on three primary areas where my experience and capabilities could provide exceptional value to potential clients. Business operational efficiency represented the core offering, drawing directly from my experience, identifying and resolving systemic inefficiencies within professional service organizations. Strategic planning and growth development constituted the second major service area, reflecting my involvement in Marcus's firm expansion and my understanding of the strategic challenges facing growing business. Client relationship management and business development formed the third pillar of my service offerings, based on my extensive experience building and maintaining the client relationships that had contributed significantly to the architectural firm's success. The establishment of operational infrastructure required careful attention to creating systems and processes that would support both current client service delivery and future business growth. The selection of office space in the prestigious downtown business district provided both professional credibility and convenient access for client meetings while establishing my presence within the established business community. The investment in professional-grade technology, communication systems, and operational support tools demonstrated my commitment to delivering high-quality services while positioning the firm for efficient scaling as client demand increased. The most significant aspect of establishing the consulting practice involved developing marketing and business development strategies that would effectively communicate the value proposition of my services while building credibility within target market segments. The challenge of establishing professional reputation, independent of my previous role as Marcus's operational support, required strategic positioning that emphasized my individual expertise and documented achievements rather than relying on association with his established business reputation. The initial client acquisition strategy focused on leveraging existing professional relationships and community connections to secure pilot engagements that would demonstrate the practical value of my consulting service. These early projects provided opportunities to document measurable results and develop case studies that would support future marketing efforts while generating positive word-of-mouth referrals within the professional service community. The breakthrough engagement that established Morrison Strategic Consulting as a credible force within the regional business community came through a referral from Patricia Hendricks, who recommended my services to Blackstone and Associates, established accounting firm experiencing significant operational challenges related to rapid growth and inadequate management systems. The firm's managing partner, Sarah Blackstone, had been struggling to maintain service quality and client satisfaction while managing a 50% increase in client volume over the preceding 18 months. The initial consultation with Sarah revealed an organization whose success had outpaced its operational capacity, creating bottlenecks and inefficiencies that were threatening both employee satisfaction and client retention. The firm's growth had been driven primarily by Sarah's personal expertise and reputation within the community, but the increasing demands of business management were preventing her from focusing on the high-value client service activities that had built the firm's reputation. The comprehensive operational assessment I conducted during the first month of engagement revealed systematic inefficiencies in client intake processes, project management protocols, and internal communication systems that were creating unnecessary work and reducing overall productivity. The documentation and analysis phase required extensive interviews with staff members, review of operational procedures, and measurement of key performance indicators that would provide baseline metrics for improvement initiatives. The strategic recommendations I developed for Blackstone and Associates included implementation of automated client management systems, restructuring of project workflow processes, and development of standardized communication protocols that would reduce administrative burden while improving service consistency. The proposed changes were designed to leverage technology solutions while optimizing human resource allocation to maximize both efficiency and service quality. The implementation phase of the Blackstone engagement required careful change management to ensure staff adoption of new systems and processes while maintaining continuity of client service during the transition period. The training and development programs I designed provided employees with the skills and knowledge necessary to utilize new systems effectively while maintaining their commitment to the firm's service quality standards. The results achieved through the Blackstone engagement exceeded both Sarah's expectations and the projections I had included in my initial proposal. Within 6 months of implementation, the firm had achieved a 35% improvement in operational efficiency, measured through reduced project completion times and increased billable hour utilization. Client satisfaction scores improved significantly due to more consistent communication and faster response times, while employee satisfaction increased as a result of reduced administrative burden and clearer operational procedures. The success of the Blackstone engagement provided Morrison Strategic Consulting with compelling evidence of the value that systematic operational improvement could deliver for professional service organizations. The documented results became the foundation for marketing materials and client presentations that demonstrated both my expertise and the practical benefits that potential clients could expect from engaging my services. The success achieved with Blackstone and Associates created opportunities for expanding Morrison Strategic Consulting's service offerings into more specialized areas that addressed specific challenges facing professional service organizations and competitive markets. The development of these specialized services required additional expertise and operational capabilities, while providing opportunities for premium pricing and enhanced client relationships that would support long-term business growth. The first specialized service area focused on digital transformation strategies for traditional professional service firms that were struggling to adapt to changing client expectations and technological opportunities. Many established firms in legal, accounting, and consulting services were experiencing pressure to modernize their service delivery methods while maintaining the personal relationships and quality standards that had built their reputations within conservative professional communities. The digital transformation consulting service required developing expertise in technology solutions specifically designed for professional service applications, understanding of regulatory and compliance requirements that affected technology implementation, and knowledge of change management strategies that would ensure successful adoption of new systems and processes. The investment in this specialized knowledge required extensive research and professional development, while providing opportunities for commanding premium fees for complex engagement. The second specialized service development involved creating comprehensive business succession planning services for professional service firm owners who were approaching retirement or considering ownership transition. This service area required expertise in business valuation, ownership structure optimization, and transition planning that would preserve firm value while ensuring continuity of client service and employee retention. The business succession planning service proved particularly valuable for clients because it addressed both immediate operational concerns and long-term strategic planning in an integrated approach that maximized business value while minimizing disruption during ownership transition. The complexity of these engagements required extensive collaboration with legal and financial professionals while providing opportunities for long-term client relationships and significant fee generation. The third specialized service offering focused on crisis management and business recovery strategies for professional service firms experiencing significant challenges related to economic downturns, competitive pressure, or internal operational problems. This service required developing expertise in rapid assessment techniques, emergency operational restructuring, and stakeholder communication strategies that could stabilize organizations during periods of severe stress. The crisis management service demonstrated the value of Morrison Strategic Consulting's systematic approach to problem identification and solution implementation under pressure. The ability to quickly assess complex situations and develop effective response strategies proved invaluable for clients facing urgent challenges, while establishing my reputation as a problem-solving expert who could deliver results under difficult circumstances. The growing success of Morris Strategic Consulting created opportunities for developing mentorship and leadership initiatives that would extend my impact beyond direct client service, while building a network of professional relationships that would support long-term business development and personal satisfaction. The mentorship activities provided platforms for sharing expertise and experience while contributing to the professional development of other women facing similar challenges in building independent career. The initial mentorship opportunity arose through my involvement with the Regional Professional Women's Association, where my experience transitioning from supportive spouse to independent business owner resonated with many members who were navigating similar career challenges. The invitation to present a workshop on strategic career planning and business development provided my first formal opportunity to share the lessons learned during my own professional transformation. The workshop presentation focused on the systematic approach to career transition planning that had enabled my successful establishment of Morrison Strategic Consulting. The content emphasized the importance of thorough preparation, strategic thinking, and systematic execution in achieving career goals, while managing the personal and professional challenges that accompany major life transition. The positive response to the initial workshop led to additional speaking opportunities and requests for individual mentorship sessions with women who were considering major career changes or facing significant personal challenges that affected their professional development. These mentorship relationships provided opportunities for sharing practical guidance while learning from the diverse experiences and perspectives of other professional women. The development of a formal mentorship program required creating structured frameworks for guidance and support that would maximize the value provided to participants while ensuring sustainable demand on my time and energy. The program design included group sessions for general professional development topics, individual coaching sessions for specific career challenges, and ongoing communication and support through online platforms and networking events. The most rewarding aspect of the mentorship network development was witnessing the success achieved by program participants who applied the strategic planning and systematic execution principles to their own career challenges. The documented successes of mentorship participants provided both personal satisfaction and professional credibility that enhanced Morrison Strategic Consulting's reputation within the professional community. The mentorship network evolved into a referral source for consulting clients as program participants advanced in their careers and gained decision-making authority within their organization. The relationships developed through mentorship activities created a foundation of professional connections that supported business development while providing ongoing opportunities for mutual support and collaboration. The continued growth and success of Morrison Strategic Consulting created opportunities for developing strategic partnerships with complementary professional service providers that would enhance the value delivered to clients while providing access to larger and more complex engagements. The partnership development strategy focused on creating collaborative relationships that would leverage the specialized expertise of multiple firms while maintaining the independent identity and operational control of Morrison Strategic Consulting. The first strategic partnership was established with Henderson Technology Solutions, a firm specializing in business software implementation and technology integration for professional service organizations. The partnership provided Morrison Strategic Consulting clients with access to sophisticated technology solutions, while offering Henderson Technology Solutions access to clients who had completed comprehensive operational assessments and were prepared for successful technology implementation. The collaboration with Henderson Technology Solutions proved particularly valuable for digital transformation engagements, where operational improvement and technology implementation needed to be coordinated to achieve optimal results. The combined expertise of both firms enabled delivery of comprehensive solutions that addressed both systematic operational issues and technology infrastructure requirements in integrated approaches that maximized client value. The second strategic partnership involved collaboration with Meridian Financial Advisors, a firm providing specialized financial planning and investment management services for high-net-worth individuals and business owners. This partnership created opportunities for Morrison Strategic Consulting to offer comprehensive business and personal financial planning services, while providing Meridian Financial Advisors with access to successful business owners who needed sophisticated wealth management service. The partnership with Meridian Financial Advisors proved particularly valuable for business succession planning engagements, where ownership transitions required coordination between operational business issues and personal financial planning considerations. The ability to provide integrated solutions that addressed both business and personal financial objectives enhanced the value delivered to clients while strengthening relationships through comprehensive service delivery. The third strategic partnership was developed with Crawford Legal Services, a boutique law firm specializing in business transactions and corporate governance issues. This partnership provided Morrison Strategic Consulting clients with access to specialized legal expertise, while offering Crawford Legal Services opportunities to work with clients who had completed thorough operational and strategic planning process. The collaboration with Crawford Legal Services enhanced Morrison Strategic Consulting's ability to support clients through complex business transitions, including ownership changes, partnership restructuring, and merger or acquisition transactions. The legal expertise provided by Crawford Legal Services ensured that operational and strategic recommendations were implemented in compliance with regulatory requirements, while protecting client interests through appropriate legal structure. The success achieved through Morrison Strategic Consulting and the positive impact of mentorship and partnership activities created opportunities for establishing thought leadership within the professional service consulting industry. The development of thought leadership platform provided vehicles for sharing expertise and insights, while building industry recognition that would support continued business growth and professional development. The initial thought leadership opportunity arose through an invitation to contribute articles to Professional Services Today, a trade publication serving the legal, accounting, and consulting industry. The article series focused on operational efficiency strategies and business development, best practices for professional service organizations, drawing from the practical experience gained through Morrison Strategic Consulting engagement. The published articles generated significant positive response from industry professionals and led to additional writing opportunities with other trade publications and professional association newsletters. The consistent publication of high-quality content established my reputation as an expert in professional service business management, while providing marketing value for Morrison Strategic Consulting through increased visibility within target market segments. The success of written thought leadership content led to speaking opportunities at industry conferences and professional association events. These presentations provided platforms for sharing expertise with larger audiences, while networking with potential clients and strategic partners within the professional service community. The conference presentations focused on case studies and practical implementation strategies that demonstrated the real-world application of operational improvement and strategic planning principles. The use of actual client results and measurable outcomes provided compelling evidence of the value that systematic consulting approaches could deliver for professional service organizations. The industry recognition achieved through thought leadership activities culminated in my selection as a finalist for the Regional Business Journal's Professional Services Consultant of the Year award. The nomination recognized both the business success achieved through Morrison Strategic Consulting and the positive impact of mentorship and community leadership activities on the broader professional community. The award recognition provided significant marketing value for Morrison Strategic Consulting, while validating the strategic approach and systematic execution that had characterized my transition from supportive spouse to independent business leader. The public recognition demonstrated that success achieved through careful planning and determined execution could create outcomes that exceeded initial expectations, while contributing positively to the broader professional community. The success achieved through Morrison Strategic Consulting and the positive impact of related professional activities created a foundation for personal fulfillment and life satisfaction that far exceeded the limited horizons that had characterized my married life with Mark. The opportunity to apply my expertise in meaningful ways, while building financial independence and professional recognition, provided multiple sources of satisfaction that contributed to overall life quality and personal growth. The financial independence achieved through consulting success eliminated the anxiety and vulnerability that had characterized the period surrounding my divorce, while providing security that enabled pursuit of personal interests and long-term goals, without concern for immediate economic necessity. The ability to make decisions based on personal values and preferences, rather than financial constraints, represented a form of freedom that enhanced every aspect of daily life. The professional recognition achieved through successful client service and thought leadership activities provided validation of my capabilities and expertise that had been absent during my role as supportive spouse. The respect earned through independent achievement created confidence and self-esteem that influenced all personal and professional relationships, while providing motivation for continued growth and development. The mentorship and community leadership activities provided opportunities for meaningful contribution to the success and development of other professional women, while building a network of relationships based on mutual respect and shared values. These relationships enriched personal life while creating professional connections that supported continued business development and career growth. The strategic partnerships and collaborative relationships developed through Morrison Strategic Consulting created a professional community that provided both business opportunities and personal satisfaction through shared commitment to excellence and client service. The respect and collaboration of other professional service providers validated the quality of my work while creating opportunities for continued learning and development. The most significant aspect of personal fulfillment was the recognition that my success had been achieved through application of the same strategic thinking and systematic execution principles that had enabled my successful navigation of divorce proceedings. The consistency between personal and professional approaches to challenge management provided confidence that future obstacles could be addressed effectively through careful planning and determined implementation of well-designed strategies. The success achieved through Morrison Strategic Consulting within the regional professional services market created both the financial foundation and professional credibility necessary for expanding into larger metropolitan markets, where more complex challenges and sophisticated clients would provide opportunities for enhanced service delivery and premium fee generation. The expansion strategy required careful analysis of target markets, competitive landscapes, and operational requirements that would support successful growth while maintaining the quality standards and strategic approach that had characterized the firm's initial success. The market analysis phase involved comprehensive research into major metropolitan areas where professional service organizations faced operational challenges similar to those that Morrison Strategic Consulting had successfully addressed within the regional market. The research focused on identifying markets with sufficient density of target clients, competitive environments that would allow differentiation based on systematic methodology and documented results, and regulatory or business climates that would support the expansion of consulting services from established regional providers. The selection of Chicago as the primary expansion market reflected both the substantial concentration of professional service organizations within the metropolitan area and the market dynamics that created significant demand for operational efficiency and strategic planning expertise. The Chicago market offered thousands of potential clients, ranging from mid-sized regional firms to substantial practices serving national and international clients, providing opportunities for engaging with increasingly complex operational challenges and sophisticated business development requirements. The operational infrastructure development for Chicago market entry required establishing physical presence through office space and local staffing, while creating service delivery capabilities that could support larger and more demanding client engagement. The selection of office space in the prestigious downtown business district provided both credibility with sophisticated clients and convenient access to the concentration of professional service organizations that represented the primary target market. The staffing strategy for Chicago expansion involved recruiting senior consultants with specialized expertise in areas such as change management, technology implementation, and financial analysis that would enhance Morrison Strategic Consulting's capabilities while providing the additional capacity necessary for serving larger clients and managing multiple concurrent engagements. The recruitment process focused on identifying professionals with both technical expertise and commitment to the systematic methodology and client service standards that had established the firm's reputation. The initial client development strategy for Chicago leveraged the successful case study and documented results achieved within the regional market while adapting marketing messages and service presentations to address the more sophisticated requirements and higher expectations of metropolitan professional service organizations. The approach emphasized the proven methodology and measurable results that distinguished Morrison Strategic Consulting from larger consulting firms that often relied on theoretical frameworks rather than practical implementation strategy. The expansion into the Chicago market created opportunities for diversifying Morrison Strategic Consulting's client base beyond traditional professional services into the rapidly growing technology sector, where emerging companies faced unique operational challenges related to scaling business processes, managing rapid growth, and establishing sustainable organizational structure. The technology sector diversification required developing specialized expertise while adapting existing methodologies to address the distinct characteristics and requirements of technology-based business. The initial technology sector engagement came through a referral from Henderson Technology Solutions, which recommended Morrison Strategic Consulting to Nexus Software Development, a rapidly growing firm specializing in custom business application development for mid-market companies. Nexus had achieved remarkable revenue growth through excellent technical capabilities and strong client relationships, but was experiencing significant operational challenges related to project management, resource allocation, and quality assurance processes that were threatening both client satisfaction and employee retention. The assessment phase of the Nexus engagement revealed operational challenges that differed significantly from those typically encountered in traditional professional service organizations. The project-based nature of software development created complex scheduling and resource allocation requirements, while the technical complexity of deliverables demanded specialized quality assurance and client communication protocols that differed substantially from the relationship management approaches used in legal or accounting practices. The strategic recommendations developed for Nexus included implementation of agile project management methodologies, specifically designed for software development environments, creation of standardized quality assurance processes that would ensure consistent deliverable standards while accommodating the customized nature of client requirements, and development of client communication protocols that would provide appropriate transparency regarding project progress while managing expectations around the iterative nature of software development processes. The successful implementation of operational improvements at Nexus resulted in measurable improvements in project delivery timelines, client satisfaction score, and employee productivity metrics, while providing Morrison Strategic Consulting with valuable experience in adapting systematic consulting methodologies to the unique requirements of technology-based business. The documented results created a foundation for marketing Morrison Strategic Consulting services to other technology companies facing similar operational challenges. The technology sector diversification proved particularly valuable because it provided access to high-growth companies, substantial financial resources, and sophisticated operational requirements that commanded premium consulting fees, while offering opportunities for long-term advisory relationships that extended beyond initial operational improvement engagement. The technology clients appreciated the systematic approach and measurable results that Morrison Strategic Consulting delivered while providing referrals to other technology companies within their professional network. The success in the technology sector led to development of specialized service offerings designed specifically for technology companies, including startup operational framework development, scaling process optimization, and technology company acquisition preparation services that addressed the unique challenges faced by rapidly growing technology businesses. These specialized services provided opportunities for premium pricing while establishing Morrison Strategic Consulting as a recognized expert in technology sector operational consulting. The continued growth and success of Morrison Strategic Consulting across multiple markets and industry sectors created opportunities for strategic acquisition of complementary consulting practices that would enhance service capabilities while providing immediate access to additional clients and geographic markets. The acquisition strategy focused on identifying firms with specialized expertise, established client relationships that would strengthen Morrison Strategic Consulting's competitive position while maintaining the systematic methodology and quality standards that had established the firm's reputation. The first acquisition opportunity emerged through professional networking relationships within the Chicago market, where Richards & Associates, a well-established organizational development consulting firm, was seeking a buyer due to the retirement plans of its founding principal. Richards & Associates had built a strong reputation for change management and leadership development services within the Chicago professional services community, providing an excellent complement to Morrison Strategic Consulting's operational efficiency and strategic planning expertise. The due diligence process for the Richards & Associates acquisition required comprehensive analysis of the firm's client relationships, service delivery methodology, and financial performance to ensure compatibility with Morrison Strategic Consulting's strategic objectives and operational standards. The evaluation revealed a firm with excellent client relationships and documented success in delivering change management services, but with operational processes that would benefit from the systematic methodology and performance measurement approaches that characterized Morrison Strategic Consulting's service delivery. The acquisition structure was designed to preserve the existing client relationships and service delivery capabilities of Richards & Associates, while integrating the firm's operations into Morrison Strategic Consulting's systematic business processes and quality assurance protocol. The integration plan included retention of key Richards & Associates personnel through equity participation and performance incentives, while providing training in Morrison Strategic Consulting methodologies that would enhance service delivery capabilities and client satisfaction. The successful integration of Richards & Associates expanded Morrison Strategic Consulting's service portfolio to include comprehensive change management and leadership development capabilities, while providing immediate access to established client relationships within the Chicago market. The combined firm offered clients integrated solutions that addressed both operational efficiency improvements and the organizational development requirements necessary for successful implementation of systematic business process changes. The acquisition also provided valuable experience in evaluating and integrating complementary businesses that would support future growth through strategic acquisitions, rather than relying solely on organic expansion. The systematic approach to due diligence, integration planning, and performance measurement, developed during the Richards & Associates acquisition, created a framework for evaluating future acquisition opportunities, while ensuring successful integration of acquired capability. The success achieved across multiple markets and industry sectors provided Morrison Strategic Consulting with a unique perspective on operational challenges and effective solutions that extended across different types of professional service organizations. This broad experience created opportunities for developing industry best practices and standardized methodologies that could be applied systematically to improve operational efficiency and business performance for a wide range of professional service firms. The Best Practices Development Initiative began with comprehensive analysis of successful interventions and documented results across all Morrison Strategic Consulting client engagements to identify patterns and principles that consistently delivered positive outcomes, regardless of specific industry context or organization structure. The analysis revealed systematic approaches to problem identification, solution development, and implementation management that could be standardized and replicated across different client situations. The first best practices framework focused on operational efficiency assessment and improvement methodologies that provided systematic approaches for identifying bottlenecks, measuring performance, and implementing solutions that delivered measurable results within predictable timeframes. The framework included standardized diagnostic tools, implementation protocols, and performance measurement systems that could be adapted to different organizational contexts while maintaining consistency in approach and results documentation. The second best practices area addressed strategic planning and business development methodologies, specifically designed for professional service organizations. The framework provided systematic approaches for market analysis, competitive positioning, service portfolio optimization, and growth strategy development that had proven effective across multiple client engagements and industry sectors. The third best practices framework focused on change management and organizational development strategies that ensured successful adoption of operational improvements and strategic initiatives. The methodology included stakeholder engagement protocols, communication strategies, training and development frameworks, and performance monitoring systems that had consistently supported successful implementation across diverse organizational environments. The development of standardized best practices frameworks provided several strategic advantages for Morrison Strategic Consulting. The systematic methodologies enabled more efficient service delivery and consistent results across different client engagements, while providing a foundation for training additional consultants and scaling service delivery capabilities to support continued business growth. The best practices frameworks also created opportunities for developing intellectual property assets that could be licensed to other consulting firms or marketed directly to professional service organizations through training programs and implementation workshops. These revenue streams provided additional income sources while establishing Morrison Strategic Consulting as a thought leader in professional service operational improvement methodologies. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.